Okay, everybody's got a fucking podcast. I mean, we have a podcast, so obviously anyone can do it.
Wait, this is a podcast?
Are you recording right now?
Technical difficulties.
No, you don't have to say anything. I'm gonna edit it out.
Technical difficulties.
Okay.
I put mayonnaise on a pickle.
It was not the best, but it might have been the worst.
Do my feet? I mean, my feet stink, right?
Yeah. Hello.
Hello there, the angel from my nightmare.
Yeah, you always sing songs I don't know when we start, and I always get very confused.
It's fine.
It's fine?
It's for the people.
It's for the people. Okay. Jason, how'd you like Inglorious Bastards?
Which one?
The good one.
It was a pretty fun time. It helped that I forgot at some point that it was a Tarantino film, and then I asked myself a question. I was like, "Oh yeah, it's Quentin Tarantino." It all wraps it back together. It was a good time. It was a long movie, but I didn't even care, like not even a little bit. It was fun.
I love this movie so much, and I could watch it over and over again.
Yeah.
And so it didn't bother me when I did watch it multiple times to do this. So.
Yep.
As far as the old one, I mean, it was fine.
Yeah. I do enjoy some of those kind of like old school like war movies that like are pretty loose plot,
Yeah.
and we're just around here to shoot some stuff. So I still enjoyed that one for sure. I think even that old one I'd probably watch again, but
Yeah. It's just my only problem is I don't like anything like any intense train scenes. Don't do it for me.
I see.
I don't know what it is about the impending doom of where the train's going and things like that. I just get
Not even like Wild West train robbery.
No,
nothing like that.
I get
Okay.
real annoyed when it's involving a train for some
fair.
reason. I can't control it. I don't want to be annoyed, you know.
So planes, trains, and automobiles. You skipped the trains section.
No, that was good. Steve Martin and John Candy are funny. No, I don't know. It's just something about it's like I don't know, kind of like a boat scene and anything with it's kind of like water during Bond movies.
Yeah.
You know? You're like, oh, okay, because everybody thinks water's really cool, and you're like, no, I don't think it's that cool.
Well, and when you kind of take it down to it, it's like, you know, they're trying to set this up as like a big dramatic thing, and it's like what happens on the train matters, but like the train is still moving at like 18 miles an hour.
Right.
Like it's just chugging along. It doesn't.
Yeah. It's the constant like shot of like, there's the place where it's going, and we got to do this and this and this before we gets there, and here's
the
where
train.
it is. Oh man, and I get annoyed. I don't know,
That's fair.
but I don't know. It's a story about bad people doing good things, and it has
It's like
most-
real life.
most nothing to do with the new one. When I was listening to some of the extras on the Inglorious Bastards DVD, it's Enzo G. Castellari was the director maker of the original.
Okay.
And he's actually the guy when the dudes are in the truck after the Nazis come and get them when they're taken prisoner.
Mm-hmm.
He's the one when they're driving away and there's bombs coming at him. He's the one that goes through the binoculars and he's like, fire!
Oh, nice.
And so then when Quentin Tarantino wanted the name Inglorious Bastards, he said, well, I got two conditions. I want a cameo and I want to yell fire. So, and they show in the extras where the scene where he yells fire.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm watching the movie and I'm like, I must have rewound when the fire starts in the theater 20 times. Like, is it? Like, I'm just what?
Is it actually in there?
Yeah, because like it's just a bunch of yelling.
Yeah,
it's just everybody. If it was subtitled, it'd be mass panic. You know what I mean? But I don't know. So I couldn't find it.
Maybe that was enough for him if it was just that. But I mean, shoot, it could also been were there deleted scenes in any capacity?
There was extended scenes.
I see. That would be the way they'd need to be called.
Yeah.
I didn't delete anything. We just decided to do more.
Cut a little fat off of this one. Yeah. Well, because the other, fuck, what was I saying? He was one of the. I mean, he is shown in the movie. He is one of the Nazi bigwigs. Of course, bigwigs is a strong word because most of them were bald. It seemed like, but
not quite bald, just real tight cut, real short.
But he was one of the bald dudes, and I guess Tarantino said if there was a place for Mussolini in this movie, he would have put him in as Mussolini.
Okay,
but it just didn't really fit because I guess he has been Mussolini before.
Oh, well,
for different things.
So it would have kind of made sense.
Yeah, but it just didn't. I don't think in the Tarantino universe, but in different features.
Yeah.
So he works as Mussolini, but there was just not a place, he said. So
it's interesting.
Yeah. And then Bo Svensson, the guy that played the big hotshot lieutenant in the original, he's the general in the feature Nation's Pride.
Oh.
The guy that's yelling into the microphone or into the walkie-talkie, which is not shown at all.
Okay.
Nation's Pride is a feature film that is about 6 minutes long that Eli Roth, the guy that plays the Bear Jew, that Quentin had him make.
Okay.
And so, I mean, he's got, you might have heard Bo Svensson say, "I will not," and then, they shut the theater door.
Yeah.
And so, he really has no screen time in this film.
Yeah.
In the little...
But he gets to say... I was in it.
Yeah. So he may be on screen for 2 seconds.
Fair.
But he was just saying, "I'm not gonna burn down history or something," and the tower stands because they're talking about Frederick Zoller up in one point in the film he wants to call Hitler and surrender. It's a whole thing.
Yeah.
So, it's fucking stupid.
Gee. Did Hitler play himself?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Hitler's actually really cool when it comes to
I was thinking he's probably got a lot of free
cameos.
time. Yeah.
Yeah, making cameos in movies. And then the other thing is they did a little gag about the making of Nation's Pride. Because you thought, the making of Nation's Pride, here we go. It's going to be them talking about, making this black and white film. And really, it's just a gag with Eli Roth playing a character where he's, some, German director. And it's just a whole thing.
That's great.
Yeah. And it's just interviews with... Schobels or whatever the fuck his name was.
Goebbels.
Yeah, Goebbels. Yeah. And just funny. Just it's a little gag. Not bad. And then the only thing with the extended scenes, not missing anything really, the lunch scene where they're asking to use her theater is a little longer. Just longer road to the point.
Yeah.
Really, so there's no new info or anything. And then there's a little more in the tavern. It's just them playing the game a little longer. And then excuse me. And then there's just a little more at the theater at the premiere. Okay. And just look at the characters
places
a little longer.
Yeah, it kind of made sense to trim it up a little bit.
Yeah.
I get you.
So, and then all the posters for any movie posters you saw, unless they had Bridget von Hammersmark in them, those were real German films from around that era. So.
Yeah, I would have straight up assumed they were just a bunch of made, they made them for the sets kind of thing.
Yeah, it was all legit.
That's pretty sweet.
So, yeah. And then, we can get into the actual movie now that I'm done yapping about.
Yeah, stop
bullshit
the yapping.
no one cares about.
Let's get into it.
The first scene is quite possibly my favorite scene of the movie.
It was wild. That's kind of where I lost that. I was watching the Tarantino film, and I was just oh my gosh, this is intense. And you just, the intensity that he was this very calm, asking questions and leading him into answers and kind of saying more than he really wants to. Because the guy he was talking to, he's trying to give kind of these short answers to everything.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Do you know this? Yes. How do you know this? What is this? Explain this to me." And then he has to go into more detail. And he's just dragging more information out of him.
Yeah.
And oh my gosh, it was so good. It was so cool to see and just watch him gradually break down. You just see the fear kind of set in.
And by the time he's are you harboring Jews in this house? And he's like, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, and just like very, very little hesitation. He knew. He knew he was done.
He knew he's fucked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was an incredible scene. That was awesome.
Just the way it's like, it moves so slowly, and it's very quiet, but all of that is it's very loud.
Yeah.
The tension, you know. I don't know. That was the only thing I had for it.
No, because it's exactly what it is. Because if you have to imagine at that time, if there was, you know, Gestapo or whatever coming through, and they're like, "Hey,
hi," they make it seem like, you know,
like I know
buddies.
something,
Well,
but also."
And the way he goes about the interaction is genius because he's like, "Oh, we're buddies." Like, "Oh,
your daughters are so beautiful.
look
This
at
milk
those
is
daughters.
excellent.
Oh, your
Like,
milk, bravo."
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's funny to think about, the whole like milk under the cabinet.
Yeah.
Like not kept cold.
I kind of like the like when they did the change the language where he's like, I've pretty much exhausted the extent of my French. Do you mind if we switch to English?
Right, which is also at the same time the way of like keeping it secret, because he knows most likely
Yeah.
there's French Jews in this house, and if they're speaking French, going like, "Is there Jews in this house?" And then
They might have time to panic, leave quietly,
Yeah.
anything like that. So yeah, switch to English. You continue the intense questions.
you write it off as, "Oh, I don't want to insult you by speaking more bad French in your home."
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. And his pipe's ridiculous.
Oh yeah, that thing was giant. Well, yeah, I have to imagine that's some kind of military thing. Be like, the higher rank you are, you get a more extravagant pipe. The Führer's just got like the it's like a something foam, but it's like, I think of it on like a record player, and it's got that big horn thing that comes out of it. Like it's that
that's his
size
pipe. Yeah.
of a pipe.
It's well, that's like the top general, and then like Hitler's got like a fucking trombone. You know? You gotta like dump a whole 10-gallon bag of tobacco.
But I'm thinking like he still has to play it as he smokes, so he's like getting the smoke in, and then that's funny.
Yeah. So then Shoshana obviously goes through some shit. This is the first time we see her. Everybody's shot in front of her, and she's running through the countryside with her family's blood all over her.
Mm-hmm.
And no one makes an intro scene quite like Quentin Tarantino.
Sure don't.
I'm thinking of every intro scene. I was thinking about every intro scene for it, because like often, like with Pulp Fiction, it's, you know,
You open to that heavy dialogue, you set the scene, and you establish at least one very important character.
yeah, and it's the two in the diner, and you know, and then the diner's getting robbed all of a sudden, right? So like intense things happen, and much like in Pulp Fiction, you have no idea why the hell that was relevant, other than we are dealing with Nazis.
Mm.
Nazis. I will get my Nazi scalps.
Brad Pitt was a mad lad in this.
Yeah. But that's my favorite, I think, Quentin Tarantino opening scene though.
It's pretty dynamite.
Yeah. Okay, so we meet the Bastards. You and I did Death Proof. We got Eli Roth and Omar Doom from Death Proof.
Yeah.
Coming back, so that's cool. Recurring characters, and then just a shorter one that's irrelevant. No one will probably care about, but I love that show, Freaks and Geeks. It was only one episode or one season. It had, Judd Apatow made the show, and it had like Seth Rogen and Jason Segel, right? The How I Met Your Mother guy? Not Sudeikis. The dude from How I Met Your Mother. Jason Segel, right? Yeah, I think so. Something like that. Anyway, got him, like, Seth Rogen's in it. Fucking, God damn it. What's that guy's name? What's his fucking name? Why am I blanking on his name all of a sudden? But it doesn't matter. Freaks and Geeks was just a fun one-season show, and, like, you wanted more of it. And Sam Levine was, like, a little kid.
Okay.
And he's the one that played Hirschberg. So, something nobody fucking cares about. except me. Like,
Well, you did.
You're right. Well, no one but me.
You're right. You're right.
But the Bastards are funny. They're very anti-Nazi, which is good. Probably going a little far on the whole scalps thing, if I had to guess. It's a little serial killer trophy-like.
Yeah. I mean, I have never been to war, so I can't really speak on some of the mindsets that get involved with it, but I feel like the more you treat yourself probably as like a god of righteousness who has to come through and scalp the head of the evil Nazis, keep them as trophies, maybe that's some motivation to keep trucking. And
Yeah. I just so this is kind of off topic, I suppose, but in that same vein, we're doing the whole mob march thing last year, and Charles said, like, mob guys, they're all psychopaths. And I go, wait, hold on. It's just kind of like part of the job.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like, they don't wake up in the morning going, hey, I'm going to kill someone today. You know, that's like the object is not to kill people.
it's just almost it's a necessity of
sometimes-
the job sometimes.
Sometimes someone is out of line and something happens. And I don't know why I felt so strongly about mob guys not being a psychopath. I mean,
You feel very strongly about mob stuff,
So-
though, so I get it.
for some reason I was, but then
How dare you? Every mobster is the greatest man alive.
right. But then I was like, well, I guess he's right. It's in that same category. But then I was like, no, I don't think they're psychopaths, because does that mean that soldiers are psychopaths? I mean, obviously a lot of those guys, I mean, that was what was so cool about Sopranos, in the way that it was Tony Soprano is in therapy, the mobster in therapy. Because, I mean, the dude's been through some shit. He's killed some people.
Yeah.
What mob guy's experience is likely like that of a soldier with a PTSD and shit like that? You know what I mean? Like, soldiers that go and kill in war are not psychopaths, but they obviously deal with some shit.
Yeah.
You adapt, right? So, but yeah, I don't know. Scalps seems like a lot, though,
It's probably a little bit there.
and a
but-
little gross to carry around with you.
Well, that's what I was saying. They needed to have 100 scalps with them, and I'm just thinking, number one, the scent. That there's still meat and decay and stuff on some of those after a while. And who's counting? Like, do they have like a guy who's got like a Excel spreadsheet, like typing in the numbers? Be like, you're 23 down for your quota this week, so
Yeah.
you're gonna be pulling an all nighter.
Then what happens after the 100 scalps? You relieved of duty.
No.
You just 100 more.
You
Start on
set
the next
a new
100.
goal.
Mm.
Aldo,
Aldo, yeah.
Aldo.
The Apache.
He sets the 100 scalps. By the end of those 100 scalps, them as individuals are setting the next scalp goal because they need it now. They want it.
That's true.
It's the mindset. You're creating the mindset that you need
He's
the
got
scalps.
he's like drug dealer, give you a little taste. Now
Yeah.
you want more. Yeah. Quentin Tarantino is the first Nazi scalped.
Yeah, I thought that was fun.
That's his only appearance of the movie. And then I like Samuel L. Jackson. I think there was 2 things he narrated.
Yeah.
You
I
know
thought
this?
that was like a little jarring, to be completely honest. I was like, this is turning into an odd format that Samuel L. Jackson is now speaking, and then I'm like waiting for him to come up later. But yeah.
Yeah, it did kind of. Yeah, that would have been interesting. He sets the vibe, and then like, well, who's this guy narrating? And then later it's like, I'm the ultimate Jew killer or some shit like that. Like, just some unveiling.
Yeah.
Later on, but
Instead of the scene at the end where was it Marcel who sets?
yeah.
It's just Samuel L. Jackson with a couple of machine guns behind the curtain, just massacres everybody.
I am sick and tired of these goddamn Jews.
Well, it's goddamn Nazis.
Or yeah.
Yes,
Whoops.
that's funny.
Yeah, that was got my Nazis kill Jews. Yeah, that was just an association. Screw up. Yeah. The Jews killed the Nazis in this case. I'm sick and tired of these goddamn Nazis in my goddamn country.
There we go.
Maybe we'll bleep Jews. I don't know.
No.
In light of all the Jew
We
stuff going
we
on.
know what we meant, and we immediately corrected. We're good.
Okay. Till someone isolates that on the internet. It's like, goddamn Jews.
All 11 of the viewers, there's going to be one of them who's
No,
like,
you're right. Yeah. Okay. So, next. Oh, Aldo, I was like, is he doing coke? Apparently there's some tobacco called snuff. I'd never heard of it.
Mhm.
It's a very new concept to me.
I was pretty confident he was doing coke.
Yeah.
So?
It's something called snuff. And I guess it's like fine and you put it in your nose. And new to me. So I've never seen that before.
Yeah, I was 100% confident that man was doing coke this whole time because that would have just made sense.
Yeah. I just thought it was funny how casual they were about it.
Yeah.
You know, and plus,
I mean, they're scalping
guy-
Nazis, so
I mean, that's true.
I think there's a pretty high bar to, oh, okay, that's kind of weird.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's fair. I think that there would have been more, like, I don't think he would have been able to be as together if he's over there just
Yeah.
sniffing coke all the time.
It would have
Now,
caused
granted,
a problem.
It was
at some
pretty
point.
small quantities, you know,
Yeah.
so it's like maybe he's got this habit
Just
under control.
microdosing coke.
But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, Hugo and True, and then we have. I thought part of the fun of the movie is the group of dudes that just piss off Hitler. Like that's the fun of, like this and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is him rewriting history, you know, the right way.
Yeah.
And so you know this Hitler dies in this movie. Spoilers. And just Hitler is just like. He's just driven crazy by this group of guys, group of Jews going through killing all his superior race.
Yeah.
You know, so that
I thought it was, I mean, it kind of made sense. Like when he was getting upset, he was like, I think he asked like, did it have anything to do with the bear Jew? And then they're like, yes. And then he was like, I want no mention of the bear Jew. Like
Yeah.
it has to be like wiped out. Bear Jew doesn't exist. There'll be no more communications. We'll never say bear Jew again.
yeah,
And that's, I mean, in a grand scheme of things, that was kind of the government of, we don't want this anymore. Nobody is allowed to talk about it.
yeah,
And, you know, it held that weight. So it was funny to see him kind of freaking out about that. But, I mean, that was the reality. If there was anything that we didn't like, or I shouldn't say we, anything that, you know, they didn't like, they didn't want here to talk about, you know, it was illegal all of a sudden, and
yes, illegal. To
you were to
mention
be
the bear Jew.
you were to be very dead.
The funny, like, because they cut from him saying, you know, who will get his scalps, and then it cuts directly to Hitler. 99999.
Yep.
So yeah, I like that.
Just dripping with sweat too, like he's
Yeah.
he's struggling.
And then this is my first favorite quote. It's like, because you know that one general's talking to. I like that he calls everybody Kraut General and
Yeah.
just all that shit, right? If you ever want to eat sauerkraut sandwich again, the general's like, you can't expect me to divulge information that put German lives in danger. And then Aldo's response is, well, now Werner, that's where you're wrong, because that's exactly what I expect you to do.
Oh man, everything that came out of his mouth was either like I was either cracking up at it or I was just like, Jesus Christ, this guy is wild.
Yeah, definitely my favorite war movie ever. But like, and that's the you can't even like technically put it. I mean, I guess you could put it in the war movie genre, but it's just there's so much.
Yeah.
Anyway, I love this movie.
It's
But-
probably a little bit closer to just like a period drama rather than
Yeah.
like an actual war movie. It just happens to be during,
Yeah.
but yeah.
And then there. So Bear Jew comes out. Donnie Donowitz.
Yeah, crazy
Comes out.
build up to it. You hear like I'm assuming like the bat like kind of clanking around in there. Do like the zoom in, the pan. Just, grung, grung.
Well, and it was funny because like he's talking to the general and he won't give up the position, and then he hears the, and he's like, you hear that? And he's like, okay, well that was a little too perfectly timed. That guy can't hear that.
Yeah,
He's just in the tunnel. Like, I don't know. What the fuck was that place, by the way?
It looked like it was just maybe it was part of an underground bunker, and that's why it was like dark. So maybe that was like a hallway down.
It's like all these tunnels on either side, like all these entryways, going really far down. And it's like in the middle of the woods, seemingly.
Yeah, maybe like an armory or something. If they had held a front there, there might have been like a line, further past that. So they had an armory a little bit backwards that they could run back to defend to, maybe.
Yeah.
I've never been to war. I don't know how these things work.
Yeah, no, I hope not to ever. Fuck, where's I going? Oh, yeah. So, Bear Jew knocks that guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I was
it's
fun.
fun.
I was a little cringe, like after he hits
just
him
kept going
and like keeps on going at him. I was like, that's rough. But then like after he started yelling, he's kind of got that energy and like that hype.
Teddy
after
Williams
just killing
goes
someone.
fucking yard on him.
Yeah, exactly. I was just like, oh, buddy, like he probably felt like he was the coolest person in the world right now, but I'm watching him just like, oh. I was like, you're being a little cringy there, buddy.
And then the next guy just does not hesitate. He's like, point out the German position. He's
right there. What do they have? Fucking everything.
How many of them? Fucking all of them.
All of them. And all of Germany is in this position.
Yeah. And then he gets and so then their thing is, if they leave a Nazi alive, they want to carve a swastika into their forehead. They don't like it when they take the clothes off. So, yeah. And then we see Shoshana again. Shoshana now is apparently had a theater left to her.
Yeah.
I would have liked to see more of that.
Explained, maybe.
Yeah. Even if it was like a short another Sam Jackson narration.
Yeah.
Would have been cool.
I honestly like a 30-second cut could have gone through like those quick scene by scenes that they sometimes do where it's like Shoshana came here and like this date or whatever came under the care of like this family. Eventually they left it to her, and then flip back to her being up top and change the letters and stuff. Could have been done.
Could have been done.
Maybe it just wasn't necessary. Doesn't matter how she got it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, and the short little. My aunt left it to me. Oh, okay. Yeah, that works. So.
But I mean, she had to have come under the care of like some random family, right? Because the name was completely different because she was Emmanuel. Mimieux. Yeah.
I don't know. Or they had a relative over there, right?
I mean, it's definitely possible. I just figured with the name change, maybe that was very intentional, and like someone took her in like as refugee, and
And then okay, that makes sense.
That was
her adopted aunt.
Yeah. That's kind of like just where my thought process ran with it, but again, it wasn't explained, so no way to know for sure.
And then, so she is pestered by Frederick Zoller, who's apparently a war hero and about to be a movie star.
But he played it off so cool. He was like, "Oh, am I? I just want to talk about cinema with you. Am I bothering you?"
Yeah, I didn't like that guy at all.
Yeah, you knew from the beginning that he was going to come off as charming because he was pretty confident if he did that long enough, he'd get what he wanted.
And then in the end, it goes the other way.
Yeah,
he's like, "I'm not someone you just say go away to."
Like,
whoa.
Yeah, I've got thoughts once we get there, but
and then I'm not sure that these. I scoured the internet a little bit. I mean, as much as I do, like I'm not very good at the Google searches. I think. I mean, anyone can search something on Google, but
there is a skill involved with Googling things.
Yeah. I am under the impression that the guy that asks for the autograph in the cafe when he's bothering her again, and the guy that has the baby in the tavern later on, I think they might be the same guy. I don't know.
Okay.
And maybe it's just completely wrong. But I think so.
Yeah.
And if it is, then that guy has a mistress.
Oh, yeah, because he was there with a
some
gal,
girl.
right? Yeah.
But maybe they aren't the same person. But, I mean, all these war guys, they got mistresses. That's a trope in movies,
Yeah.
I
am soldier. I am here. Do you want to shack up for a bit?
Yeah. and MASH.
Yeah.
They got wives. Or did you ever watch MASH, that old show? Okay, that's kind of fun. But they're always sleeping with like nurses, and so they got like their war wives and their home wives.
Yeah.
A little bit.
I could use a war wife.
Yeah, so nothing worse than the guy that won't take a hint, Frederick Zoller. And where she fucked up is people were asking him for autographs, and then she's like, "Who are you?" It's like, no, don't give him that.
Yeah.
Don't give him that. You just
I
gotta go like, anyway, you're pestering me. Can you get out of here?
Yeah. But like his persistence, I don't know if that would have really mattered.
Right.
He didn't seem interested in leaving at any point. Because even after she had already been talking about like, hey, like, fucking leave me alone, you Nazi. When the people were starting to come in and talk to him or whatever, like he wanted to sit down, she didn't want him to sit down, but then after people came in to talk to him, okay, this conversation here has ended, I'm gonna sit down now. Yeah. Like he wasn't gonna stop.
Yeah,
that's true. He's the period time of a fuckboy. He's like, I am going to get you.
Yeah, that makes sense. And so then we kind of skip from there. That awkward scene ends. She's working on the marquee once more, putting up letters, and another Nazi vehicle comes out and tells her to get in the car. And then she goes to the lunch where they're asking about using her theater.
Mm-hmm.
Which is like, fucking Frederick, man. It's all just a ploy to... Yeah. And...
which doesn't make sense because, like, like she had already kind of alluded to the fact that she didn't quite enjoy, like, soldiers in any capacity.
Yeah.
So it's like, hey, I know you don't like soldiers, but I'm a soldier.
I think you'll like me eventually.
You might not like Nazis, but I want to bring a bunch of Nazis into your cinema.
Yeah. Can I bring all the worst Nazis here? All the ones you hate the most?
The body count of this room is extraordinary.
Yeah.
And not the fun kind of body count.
No.
But also probably simultaneously a still respectable body count.
Okay, so then this is the the debate of... I thought this was weird when I first saw it, and then the more I've watched this, the lunch scene, and she looks over at, Goebbels and the assistant, and there's just the random shot real quick of them fucking.
Yeah.
And I've always wondered, what the fuck is that for? My only thought on why they show that is Shoshana maybe just notices immediately that those two are fucking, and like, how sometimes you see some like,
yeah, no, it's like the mannerisms, the way they'll talk back and forth. It's just obvious that one of them is backdooring the other.
Whether you like it or not, sometimes the first thing you see is like someone fucking, like, those two, huh? Okay, and like that's just an image in your mind you don't really want, but like it happened. They're like, oh, you two are married. Oh, okay,
yeah. But I mean, the timing of it, I think, worked out well because it was like this is the translator or whatever, and then it was like immediately after that was like the sex scene.
Yeah,
and it was like, yeah, sure, translator, not just girl he happens to be. I mean, she probably was a translator of some sort, but
yeah,
it definitely was mostly the bone.
Yeah. Well, so I feel like it's like that / it's the Shoshana thing / also telling the audience that maybe a little bit. I don't know.
But again, does it exactly serve a purpose if we know that they're fucking or not? I mean, throughout
is it needed?
throughout the rest of it, I mean, I can't say like, oh yeah, like
if I wouldn't have known.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, it's like no, they either were just a translator and he was still rude and barked at her. All the time, or not. It's like it doesn't matter if they're fucking or not.
Right. It's just one of those Tarantino things. You go like,
sex.
Okay, all right, I dig it.
Yeah.
And then we got Londa appears, Hans Londa, who's quite possibly the best character in the movie. I mean, Christopher Waltz is fantastic.
Yeah. He dominated every scene.
Every bit of it. He's every scene. He's awesome.
Yeah.
And that would be some intense PTSD if you're Shoshana.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta sit there with this guy now.
Yeah. Well, the thing that like started to get me to sweat is like they're having, their conversation, and then he's like ordering stuff or whatever, so they get the strudel, I think, and he's like, "I'll do like coffee or espresso, and she'll have milk." Like as soon as he said that, I was like, "Oh shit, it's gonna go down!" Like he knows. And I was just sitting there waiting for like him to do like almost that same line of questioning, because
Yeah.
I mean it was kind of that same way.
Yeah.
But I was waiting for it to be like, you do those questions. It's like, are you an escaped Jew from 4 years ago or whatever? And then just the yes.
And then there's that. Well, because at the very end, he's just holding the cigarette, and mind you, he like just lit the cigarette, and then not but like a minute later, puts it out in the strudel, which is like waste of strudel, waste of cigarette, bro.
I mean, that's what you did. You got a cigarette to get the taste in your mouth. It helps you savor your dessert,
Oh yeah,
probably.
just came up with it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, people used to smoke after meals and stuff. Like
Sure.
that was like what you did. You'd finish. I mean, people smoked during meals.
that too. But yeah, there's that moment in the end where he's like, I had something else I wanted to ask you, and then there's just that long shot where he just stares, cigarette in hand. But for the life of me, I can't remember what it was. And then he sticks it out in the strudel. And
It was tense.
very tense.
Yeah.
And there's one quote in that lives rent-free in my mind. I think he said, de la creme, because I think that's like, wait for the cream. German. That's what the subtitle is. And so in my mind, anytime I see whipped cream, someone mentions cream, I just think, it's Christoph Waltz in my head.
Yeah.
Wait la cream. Wait for the cream.
Wait for the cream.
Oh, jeez. So,
Yeah.
always in my head.
I gotta say though, as far as like the way that Shoshana was like kind of keeping it together and kind of keeping that straight face, and then like after he departed, like it was seconds after like he was
She
behind her
looks,
that
is he gone?
yeah, like that
Yeah.
just that reaction, just it looked very extremely genuine, and that that hit hard. Like I said, that whole scene kind of had me sweating, ready for something. So like
Fantastic.
after she started, kind of breathing, heaving a little bit, I almost expected him to like have forgotten something.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, Shoshana, like, don't worry, like, it's the pressure or whatever, it's fine,
yeah.
like, it's gonna be good.
Let me get you a fresh glass of milk.
Yeah.
No! No more milk.
But like that just still would have been like in character for the scene, and it just like, oh, like what's wrong, yeah,
Yeah.
very sweaty.
And then we have a little exposition, and Mike Myers is involved, and so what I wrote down was, hello, exposition.
Yeah,
Because, that's Austin Powers thing. I love Mike Myers. He's fun.
yeah.
Winston Churchill's over there in the background.
It was kind
Just
of mildly jarring because I didn't connect that dot right away, and I was like,
I didn't know until I was watching like the extras on the DVD. It's like, oh, it's supposed to be Winston Churchill. I just thought maybe that was like this dude's like senile uncle or something.
yeah.
I didn't,
Well, that's the thing. Like,
it didn't click.
I don't know a lot about history, but for some reason I was like, okay, that's Winston Churchill.
Yeah. Well, and that was the other thing to me too.
Like,
was,
I think I just have a shape of what Winston Churchill looks like, and he just happened to be the shape. But
I guess I should. My thing with that though is like if that's the leader of the country, like if you walk in a room and the president's there, you're gonna do something. Oh, hello, Mr. President. You know what I mean? And this guy's British, and that's Winston Churchill. Like, I guess I just thought because when he walks in, he just sees Winston Churchill in the corner of the room, and he's just kind of like. And then Mike Myers is like, "Sir," and he's like, "Oh." Salutes and everything.
I mean,
like,
but maybe that's
if
also
that's-
a don't speak unless spoken to kind of thing.
Maybe, but to stare at him like he's like he's got crabs on his head or something, you know what I mean? Like that was kind of, especially when you're a soldier, you imagine like that's the guy, and you
commands
walk in, hello,
the immediate
hello.
respect.
Yeah, like I don't know. So I just did not put that together until I was watching extras.
That's fair.
So, there's something about Rod Taylor. That's the guy that was playing Churchill, but I don't remember. I didn't write anything down about Rod Taylor, so that's my bad. He did something, likely. I don't remember.
I mean, he was in the movie.
He's in the movie.
Is that what he did? Was that your note? Was that he was in the movie?
Rod Taylor in movie. He had some sort of significance. I just don't remember what it was.
Okay.
So, my bad. Anyone at home going like, Rod Taylor.
You know what? Look it up.
No.
No, I'm telling the audience to look it up. They got free
that
time.
too.
What are you doing? Listening to a podcast?
Yeah. What are
Get
you
a job, hippie.
Yeah. And then we're in the tavern because they're having a rendezvous with Bridget von Hammersmark, and Aldo is pissed about them being in a basement. You can't have a fight in a fucking basement.
Yeah, he would not let that go.
Wouldn't let it go.
Every time he spoke, I just was very about it.
He's like, you don't have to be Stonewall Jackson to know that you don't want to have a fight in a fucking basement.
It's a tavern. It's in a basement. It's a tavern in a basement.
In a basement. Yeah. So that all gets very intense. Because, the guy that just had a baby, they're all partying at the other table, and he will not go away. And so then they're playing, Nazi commanders, and so they're chewing this guy's ass.
Yeah.
And then dude in the back, who probably outranks them all, is just the mood change when he's like, might I inquire? Of course, it's in German, so it's a lot more intense, but I wasn't going to write down the whatever.
We don't speak German. It's okay.
Well, and yeah, there was no German subtitle either. So.
Yeah. I kind of enjoyed the fact that we got all the English and French subtitling, but never the German. I thought that was a nice touch.
Yeah. Yeah, so he inquires.
Oh, I guess I like it.
There's German subtitles. Yeah, it's fine.
Like, yeah.
I was just going to let it go. But now we have to talk about it. No, I'm just kidding. And so then the explanation for the British guy's odd accent was that he was in a different, born in like a mountainous place around Germany or whatever. The reference to the Piz Palu movie, that was the one that was like above the marquee.
Okay.
When Shoshana's doing the letters in the opening, like when she first meets Frederick Zoller. Yeah. So that was the movie that was up there.
Gotcha.
So there's that whole thing. And then that whole tavern thing happens. They play the game, and he says leave, and then he gives himself away by going 3 glasses instead of 3 glasses, because apparently
didn't
that's
use
the German
thumb.
3.
Yeah.
And he goes, my favorite line there is, say goodbye to your Nazi balls.
I gotta say though, I kind of enjoyed the timing of like once she got the rest of them to the other table and they were talking and she was trying to say that the Führer was gonna be there, and like I think it was 2 or 3 separate occasions where she like was almost there to say it and then was interrupted, and I was like, he's like, so the venue has changed, and what else? And then like immediately after, like one of the guys was coming over, interrupted, and I'm just like, oh my god, just say it, get the information out.
Wilhelm's like, when he comes and sits down after he gets the autograph, and then he's like, just that whole drunk thing.
Sloppy.
It's funny.
I don't think I'd want to be that sloshed after just finding out that
you had a baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, you might go a little existential.
Yeah. I'd be like, I got shit to do, man. I gotta get my life together.
What if I die at war? Especially if you're a soldier. I don't know. Yeah. Yeah. I never want to go to war. Russia, Ukraine, we're counting on you guys to work it out.
Yep. I'm pretty sure that's not gonna happen. I think a stray missile went into Poland, so.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Well. All right, so anyway.
That'll be for the next remake of Inglorious Bastards. Stay tuned.
So the crazy thing about this whole tavern meeting, and everybody dying in the tavern, is that they don't even need, like, if someone knew Shoshana, they don't even need to blow up the place because Shoshana's already going to burn the fucking place down with all the Nazis in it.
Yeah, but neither Shoshana or Marcel was going to tell anybody except for who they got to develop it. So.
Right. Yes. But what I'm saying is, it's just, I love that part of the story that it's like, you know, and you're watching these two storylines, and where they overlap, they don't even overlap. Like, never is Shoshana like talking to one of these guys. There's not an interlocking. It's just the stories overlap.
Both happen to want to destroy everybody.
Yeah, they're on top of each other, but they don't quite ever touch.
Yeah. No, you're right. That is kind of an interesting way to tell a story is to have the goals overlapping of two parties unknown to each other.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, no one needed to die in the tavern, you know?
Yeah.
They don't need to...
They would have been fine. Like, the mission would have been completed no matter what.
Omar and Donnie don't need to blow themselves up later.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Although, Hiller may not have died because they probably could have got out of the... because the balcony door wasn't locked.
Yeah.
You know, so he just locked the theater doors.
Huh. I guess I didn't think about that. Yeah, that they weren't really locked in there either.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah. Anyway, so then they're talking about what they're gonna do. They're like, "Do you speak any other language?" And they're like, "I speak Italian." It was like, you know, when he says it like that, still with the southern accent, like it's this isn't gonna be good. My favorite quote there, he's like, tells Omar, he's like, and you speak third best, so
like,
you just stay quiet. And he's like, I don't speak any Italian. He's like I said, third best. Keep your fucking mouth shut. In fact, why don't you start practicing right now?
That was good.
And then I said, probably not going to go well if you pronounce it Italian.
Yeah.
And then
not to mention, a homegirl has a bullet in her leg, so it's like we're just already not starting off strong.
And Londa's just, again, right on sniffing the trail.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, we're missing shoes. Oh, there's a fucking Bridget von Hammersmark autograph in here. That's great.
Yeah. And that's what I knew. Like, as soon as I saw him show up on the scene, I was like, all the evidence is there. He's going to piece it all together in like 3 minutes.
Yeah.
We're fucked.
No, it didn't even take that long. And then, I love, Aldo can only be Aldo. Like, he's what's your name? Gorlami. That doesn't sound fucking Italian at all.
One more time. I'm sorry. One more time. Can you say it again?
Gorlami.
Yeah, he probably had to say his name like 15 times. Yeah, the whisper. But like, what's funny is like all 4 of them knew they were like outed right there.
Yeah.
Like just as
like
soon as
he starts cracking up about her mountain climbing.
Yeah. And he runs over to like the other group of people and is like, oh, I'm sorry. Oh man. And just the look on all their faces was just like the nervous, like I have to be polite and smile, but I'm gonna die within the next 13 minutes.
Just Otto's like that uncomfortable, like not like, show your teeth but smile.
Yeah.
And squinting. Also, would have loved to know the backstory on Otto's like neck scar. It was interesting to me. Yeah. Anyway. All right. So Italian, Gorlami, Londa's the best fucking villain. Just in the way that even when it comes time for like he's got him dead to rights, and then he just like, well, actually, I even want to be not considered a villain. I want to be. I don't know. I just love that character, and Christopher Waltz just does a phenomenal job.
He's dynamite. I did make specific note. I was like, he's like almost like Bond level evil villain with like the theatrics involved with the way he does everything. Yeah. You know, where it's like almost like the taking
which
them.
Which is ironic because he's later a Bond villain.
Oh, okay.
In the Daniel Craig, so
yeah,
it's fun.
But just the
short-lived.
The theatrics involved, like you know, you think about like the taking to dinner scenes, the explaining the plots almost, or like making sure that like I know that you know that you're fucked kind of thing. Yeah. I thought that was just a really nice touch, and I guess that makes it a lot funnier that he ends up becoming a Bond villain because he's got the capacity.
He's a Blofeld, and it's kind of people aren't like happy about. I was doing some Reddit reading. People aren't happy about how they used the Blofeld character in the Craig series, but
okay,
we'll get there when we get there. And then I love when and then he strangles Bridget when he figures out the shoe fits.
That also was like kind of thing, because I again, this was one of the things where it's like for a brief moment I forgot it was a Tarantino film, and then I saw the foot and I was like, oh yeah. This is Tarantino. But it was very luxurious, like the way they framed the camera and stuff. Where it was like the zoom in, gets like the little anklet thing off her, takes the shoe off, and I was like, does this set a precedent that like she's given him like foot jobs before? Because like it seemed almost familiar.
Or it's something he's into.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Like one of them was at least practice in this interaction, because I was almost expecting the casted leg to go up first. And he was gonna like remove the cast to find the bullet hole, but then it didn't even need that much, because he knew, he already had all of the information. She's like, go,
I don't need to
grab something out of that bag there. She's fumbling through it, and then it's like, fuck,
out of his jacket pocket.
Yeah. Oh well, yeah, it was the jacket pocket. I was thinking it was a bag over there.
When her hand hits it, which how deep is that fucking pocket? If she had to fumble around.
I don't know, if it's like a peacoat
To
style,
find the
like
shoe.
this whole like side section could be a pocket.
Yeah.
Probably enough for like a pistol to fit in there, you know? So maybe it's
Pistol and a shoe.
Yeah.
Of course, don't put your pistol in there, because then he would have been fucked.
Yeah.
It was like, I see a shoe and a pistol.
Is that a shoe in your pocket, or are you
just happy to see me?
Blam!
It's a shoe. Sorry. Kind of had a whole thing planned, and I was supposed to put the shoe on your foot. It was like a whole thing, but yeah.
You really fucked that up. Anyways,
Yeah.
I know.
So he strangles Bridget, and then he says, the guy in the smoking jacket, and then Otto's holding the champagne, just the...
That was so good. But like that's the thing. It's like again, he had to have known he was fucked. He was just waiting around for shit to happen.
Yeah, still with that...
Yeah. And he gets stuck. Like, you Nazi prick, fucking bitch.
Just
like,
starts going in on
yeah.
him immediately. It's like, oh, okay.
It's like you're blowing your cover.
You're covered within a half a second.
You have to curse in Italian. What are you doing?
At least put your hand up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Anyway. And then Londo's, kind of, he's like, I've waited so long to touch you. He
Yeah.
touches his wrist. Oh. And then just the headbutt. Just headbutts the fuck out of him.
And then he's just like, just set him away. I don't give a shit.
He's like, touch me again, Krautburger.
Man, he would not let that go. It's good.
And then Frederick leaves the theater with the excuse of, it's hard for me to watch this scene.
Mm-hmm.
And
Goebel was like unnecessarily accepting of that. He was like, "No, I understand. You go. We'll catch up afterwards."
yeah.
I didn't expect him to have any sympathy really for
What do you
him.
mean? I thought he was gonna have a whole
Yeah.
like, well, you see.
You're embarrassing me in front of the Fuhrer.
Yeah. And then she's like, who is it? And like, when she figures out it's him, I feel like I just wouldn't open the fucking door.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess, I don't know. I guess you kind of got to keep up appearances, but I don't know. I just feel like I wouldn't open the fucking door.
I wouldn't have opened up the door. But I guess part of it, too, was also that she was hoping if she opened the door and dismissed him, because obviously she had a little bit more bite in this conversation of, like, go away. I do not want to talk to you. I hate you kind of thing.
Yeah.
It maybe the hope was just that he would return to his seat, so then he had a higher % chance of, being encapsulated in fire.
Yeah.
But now I'm kind of stuck on the fact that their doors weren't locked and they had no plan for killing the Fuhrer. That's kind of
It's a hole.
It's a hole.
But, yeah.
What's funny though is that was that had to have been not just a plot hole in the story necessarily, but like both of those guys' plan. Like they just didn't really account for how to take care of those.
For the Fuhrer.
I really call them like the opera seats, the
Yeah.
ones that are higher up there.
And then just the other thing with that scene is her going, lock the door. And I was like, any guy can be convinced at any time, like in seconds, that a girl wants to sleep with him, and it's sad.
Yeah.
Like he was fooled so quickly.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I don't know if it was... her demeanor overall is kind of rough because she's a little, like, flat, I guess, in kind of her expression.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, like, she was probably a little hard just to read from that perspective, anyways. But yeah, I mean, he also, again, in his mind, he's the war hero. With, 300, 250, kills.
Yeah, I feel like it's got to be a little inflated.
It has to be. Unless he was out there counting the bodies. I don't buy it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that inflated ego is probably like I've passed the speech check. I had high enough charisma. Now I get the bone scene. That was good enough for him.
Got to get this in my mouth.
Also, the soundproofing throughout that venue had to have been phenomenal.
Oh yeah. I know it was a loud movie and there's a lot of gunshots going on, but
it's different. There's no way the quality of
from
recording
the projector
equipment.
Room. Pop, 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 pop from the projector room. It's got to be.
Yeah. Because both from being in that room and then our other two guys from the Basterds.
Yes, which that scene was sweet.
Yeah. When he ran up and did like the Falcon punch and shot him, that was lit.
He said, "You got 30 feet to get to that guy. Can you do it?" He's like, "I have to."
Yeah.
Yeah, that was awesome.
That was pretty slick.
And then they turned Hitler into Swiss cheese. So that's pretty fun.
Yeah. So my wife came in during kind of that last sequence. So she got to see the shoot, where did she get in? I don't know. It was probably like right there, so it was like right after the fire had been started, but like they hadn't burst through the doors yet. So she sees them burst through the doors, shoot all those guys. The fire started and everything, and then they go over the balcony and just start spraying and praying on all the people in the venue. And she was like, "Oh, that's icky." Like
Yeah, women's stuff.
Yeah, having no well, I think it was the context of like, oh, we're just shooting people in a locked room. Like, there's no context for that. It's a bad thing to do to people.
Yeah,
but and then just the Swiss cheesing of the Führer was kind of like, oh my god, what are they doing? But I thought it was sick.
It was
in
awesome.
the like, oh wow, that was cool way, not like the.
Yeah, well, and the Jews do it to him. It's like, the justice of the whole thing,
Yeah. And all was right with the world.
All was right with the world. Thanks, Quentin. And then Londa negotiates his deal in being part of Operation Kino and all that, and you can tell Aldo is not happy at all with it as it's happening.
Yeah.
And
Ryan from The Office is just there for some reason.
Ryan's just hanging out. He doesn't care.
As soon as he started talking, I'm just like, shut up, temp.
One thing I forgot. Not sure. I was wondering who the fucking guy was that flew out the window. When the place explodes.
Yeah.
The guy that's screaming. Because it's like, well, everybody's dead, and then Donnie and Omar have the dynamite strapped to their legs, so they're gonna be obliterated. So like all the dynamite right there, it's gonna those bodies just obliterated.
Mm-hmm.
So then I'm wondering who's like walking down the hallway. No. Is there a fire in there or something? What's going on in there?
Yeah.
Ah!
Well, kind of the whole general premise of that is a little off because of the sheer number of wait staff that was involved and how there wouldn't be back and forth throughout the entire movie.
Right.
But that's...
Yeah, if you're doing that at the end of the third reel, and like you're telling me nobody has to go to the bathroom, but right before...
Yeah. So yeah, not sure. Well, it had to have just been so they could throw someone out a window. Is that also a Tarantino trope? Is
I don't know.
Throwing people out of windows? I feel like that also.
I'm not sure if the fact is true, but I did read it somewhere on the internet that it's the same scream as the one used for Stuntman Mike when the car is flipped upside down, like in the first crash in Death Proof, is the same. Apparently, the same scream used when that guy, is on fire and flying. Which,
that's a nice and very unnecessary touch.
Yeah.
You think some guy was sitting in theaters, like, he's just, oh my god,
that's from Death Proof. Yeah.
Just shout in the middle of the theater.
Everybody's like, shit, fuck up. So they're supposed to drive over country lines or something, and then Londa surrenders to Aldo, and so when they do that, he shoots the other guy, and they carve the swastika into Londa's head. And my favorite line, I don't know if my favorite line of the movie, one of my favorite lines from Aldo is the Londa's like, "You'll be shot for this." And he goes, "Nah, more like chewed out.
I've been
chewed out before."
Yeah.
So,
Oh,
and then
man.
that's the end of the movie. So yeah.
I had a lot of fun with this. Like I said, this was one like I had no problems or quarrels with this being 2.5 hours long. This was
None.
and probably just the way they kind of broke up the chapters, kind of segmented it out. It felt like they were well timed with not letting a scene drag on too long, and kind of tell different parts of the story. But yeah, it was a damn good time.
I loved it.
Yeah.
I don't know, 9.5, 9. I'm gonna go 9. I'm going 9.
9. That's fair.
What do you got?
I'd go 8.5.
8.5.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's Inglorious Bastards.
And it was glorious. It wasn't Inglorious.
Right. So, listen to us on the Spotify, the Apple, wherever you get your podcasts. If we're not somewhere, let us know. At Content Crisis Hotline, yahoo.com, or at Content Crisis 1 on Twitter. And I'm not sure what our Instagram thing is.
Just look up Content Crisis. You'll probably find it.
Yeah, you'll find it. It's the only one called Content Crisis, most likely.
There's no other. There's never been a Content Crisis before us. So
Not like the one here.
this is a very, very specific brand of Content Crisis.
We're always in a state of crisis over here. So thanks for listening and reviewing, and goodbye.